All right, I'd like to welcome everybody and for members, thank you for joining GBA. For new members, we hope you join GBA at the end of this call. So this is our pitch to every AGM. We'd like to have more the merrier. And I'd like to just kick off the fact that we're starting AGM, and really we've got four areas we want to talk about: acknowledgements, where we are and what we've done, and some for some of the players involved and we're in the GBA and new members now that will be joining the board. About GBA General Services, where we are as far as technical and certification services, and director services, which is a new thing that we're looking at as well. Accomplishments, where we are, we do a quick assessment and look at where we are with use cases, and then look ahead on what we see some of the data access initiatives and what we see a few areas from our outlook.
Let's see if you can take this quick poll that should have popped up on your screen. Which group are you involved in? We have about 52% of the folks on the line are third-party providers of services. We've got about 12% utility personnel. We've got vendors to the utilities coming in around 24%. So that's a pretty high number. We've got a small percentage, about 4% of solar installers and financiers and battery folks, 8% energy efficiency market fee people. We've got a few homeowners that are here looking for more information and others that are not on that list. So we're hoping to learn a little bit more about what it is you do. And when we get to that point when we can get more information from you, we'll also have a survey at the end and we'll get some information from you for there.
Leading the charge, part of the pun, being the power industry, we're always into charging things and doing stuff. So just really want to acknowledge the Green Button staff. These individuals have been really dedicated and passionate and interested in making Green Button a success. Without their commitment, we wouldn't be where we are today. Starting with Jeremy, the amount of times I've called him after hours, and also he keeps reaching out and trying to a lot of legwork and a lot of calls to try and get people to sign up and as members as well. And Don for his technical expertise, certification, and trying to sort out whether Atlanta Braves are doing well or not, depends on how much time we get from him at certain times. And Valdez, again, always from a marketing and puts a lot of content, newsletters, everything else together. And I want to really there. Ernst is a new member who's our sort of staff member that's helped coming in to help support Don on the technical piece. So I just wanted to start off by really thanking them on behalf of the GBA board. I wanted to acknowledge their efforts and all the work that goes into making this alliance a success. Thank you very much. Next is the board. And again, for their active participation, we do have board meetings. We also have separate various topics we've been looking at. And on that note, we sort of have a couple that are not going to be end of term. And one is Jay Lewis. Jay, Big Data Energy Services. Thank you for I think it was 2 years, right, for Jay? Jeremy, where it was on the board. And he's got that smile in that picture, and he has a smile all the time. And Jeff Pendler for CEO of Logical Buildings. Jeff, I think you always have that hat on too. It seems to be that his trademark. And those two in particular, I wanted to thank for their positive approach in helping us move forward, and also for all the other board members. I really want to thank you for your contribution and where we are. And some majority will be continuing. And then now, Luke, who's our 2-year term, will be, thank you very much from Itron to us to be part of that. And then now we'll be there for next year and look forward to you continuing on the board. And so now part of the drum roll, I guess, with the voting for the new members that will be participating members that have been elected to the board are.
Drum roll here.
Yeah, Laurie Palmer. Thank you, Laurie. And Earth, it's nice to have somebody from Ontario as well on the board, and look forward to having you participate, and then that will be for a 1-year term. So thank you very much for taking on this role and for others to support you in being on the board. Next is Bill Pfister. I think Bill's, I think he's been on the board before, right? I think, and I think Bill, thank you very much. And you've been elected to a 2-year term, and look forward to you continuing back and helping us as we move forward on the standardization piece that we're looking at, that you'd be helping us support the standard going forward. Thank you very much again, Bill, and welcome. And then I'll hand it over to you, Jeremy, just to introduce some of the new companies that have joined.
Great, thanks so much. Yeah, thanks, and we're looking forward to both of you joining our board. I appreciate that you jumped in the ring and went in for that election. We have, of course, the lifeblood of our organization is on the membership and those who help drive us, not only financially, but also in what they do for the organization and the participation that they put forth. So we also like to recognize all members that are brand new, and we are fortunate to have picked up 2 brand new members in just last week. So just in time for the meeting, which is really exciting because we always love to highlight those folks who take the initiative and jump right on in. So without further ado, we'd like to welcome Jotson, who has just joined us. Gary Cook, Remus Lakatos, and their team up in Alberta. They have just joined as participating members of the organization, and we are thrilled to have them begin to help the Canadian market grow, and starting, of course, with the efforts that are going on in Ontario and all of those new certifications up there. So welcome to Jotson and all the folks that are on the call from there. We'd also like to thank another brand new member who just joined last week, and that is SmartDocs. SmartDocs is kind of a global organization. They've got offices near me and across the globe. Ravi Shankar, Deepak Dev, Sai Varma, and their team are now coming in to play and help people get that green button data and make it work for their platform. So we're pretty excited to have both of those 2 companies join us just this last week, and they join an illustrious group of utilities and others. Let's take a look at those folks now. Here's a look at some of the utilities that are a part of our organization, that help drive the standard, that help drive what we're doing and going forward. We got 9 utility members here. We have the Edison Electric Institute representing other Edison companies. And of course, as Syed just noted, Bill was elected to the board, so we're thrilled about that. We get to hear all the voices of all of the different Edison companies on the board, and all of these companies here on this screen continue to help us out, some of them from the very, very inception of the organization. So we are thrilled, and we thank you for being a part of the organization. We know utilities don't have to be a part of the organization. They can get certified, they can implement Green Button, but those who join the organization really take a leadership role in driving us forward. So we appreciate that. We also have numerous suppliers of solutions. You'll see this list here, some including our new members. This is a 23 company list at the moment. We've got third-party application companies, energy management companies. We've got providers of platforms and services to the utility industry. So this is a great group of folks and some wonderful companies, both big and small, in this list, and we are thrilled to have them. We also have 2 other categories of membership that we call affiliates and liaisons. And these are groups of folks who work for similar organizations or complementary organizations, industry groups. And we are lucky to have several of them here. We've got the Association for Smarter Homes and Buildings, formerly CABA, if you remember them under a different moniker. We have the Building Owners and Managers Association of Canada. We were the first organization to have that kind of a liaison with them, so we are really thrilled about that. They're part of BOMA International. We have the Real Estate Standards organization that provide some of those things and that people use in the multiple listing services and other things, and we want to work closer to them over these coming years to be able to dovetail even more data information of people's usage and so forth for understanding those different pieces of real estate for sales and other types of things. We also have the Smart Energy Consumer Collaborative, whom we will also be working with again this coming March when we go down to Distributech, where they hold their consumer symposium each year. So really a thrill to work with those folks as well. We also have 5 governmental organizations as liaisons. We've got the North American Energy Standards Board, of course, who is a core standard used in the green button, is their energy services provider interface. We have Sault Ste. Marie. This is the Ontario city, not the Michigan city. So Sault Ste. Marie has joined us as a liaison organization. We have Ontario Ministry of Energy and Electrification. So you see Ontario listed in there. Always a pleasure to have their insight and guidance up north. And then we have NIST of the Department of Commerce in the US and the US Department of Energy. All of these folks really help us reach other folks. So it's always great to have them as a part of things. So thank you all for being liaisons and being affiliates of our organization. We also want to look a little now at the opening of the market for energy management solutions. We want to talk about a couple of different things that are going on, things that we've been working on, and just in general, some things that might be of interest to you. So let's jump right on into looking at a couple of these different things. We've got a whole bunch of different things happening. We've got third parties that are beginning to really onboard at a lot of organizations. Some of the companies have had platforms for a while. Some of the companies' platforms are very new, but we have been onboarding we haven't. Utilities have been onboarding third parties into their systems at a rapid pace. As you can see, some of the ones here listed on the bottom of the screen. We've got PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric out in California, along with Silicon Valley Clean Energy, Consumers Energy in Michigan. We've got National Grid in New York, Fort Collins Utilities in Colorado. We've got Con Edison in New York. There's others in addition. Enbridge is onboarding folks quite rapidly. Orange and Rockland. We have just so many. We didn't want to list them all, but wanted to highlight a couple that are really up and coming and really making some moves. So we're really excited about this list because we anticipate now that the Ontario market is open, we're going to have many more up around that area, as we've already begun to see with Enbridge and others. So that's a real exciting piece for us that we wanted to share with you. We also want to show you just a little bit about some of these data management solutions that people are beginning to utilize, what they're doing with them. These are being used for a lot of things already today. Just being able to provide the management services at the utilities, but also facilities and property management, doing benchmarking and reporting. It's been a growing field as more of these mandates for reporting come into place. Demand response and virtual power plants are becoming a huge addition to what we're doing with Green Button, where folks are actually being able to participate in the energy supply in some ways. Of course, calculations for solar and storage, it's a necessity to have these data, have them in interval readings so that you understand how things are during the day of usage and therefore decide whether southern-facing solar panels or western-facing solar panels meet your particular goals better than the other. Are batteries necessary as well in case if you're trying to go net zero or shave peak? And so a lot of those things are really important, as is energy management for electric vehicle charging, where this is becoming something that is quite a burden on many different parts of the grid, and being able to shift those things is critical and important. And of course, other different efforts going on to cause electrification and move to cleaner energy. So a lot of these things are big pieces of use cases of what we're doing. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but I wanted to give you a little bit more on what we do with the standards themselves and how we've been looking at some of those things. So take a look at the standards update. we have several different standards that are used in Green Button. A lot of folks think it's one. We like to refer to it as one because these standards are all designed to work together, and that's why we call them by a single name of the Green Button standard. But there's actually a group of standards of everything from XML, which is the text format of the data, which stems itself all the way back to the late 1960s, all the way up, of course, into the core of the standard, which is the NAESB Rec 21 Energy Services Provider Interface Standard. And that has the core of the things that are specific to the energy industry and the data that's being shared. Other standards that are involved are date and time standards for the internet, universally unique identifiers, atom syndication format that wraps the SB data, and then of course OAuth for the communications for the ConnectMy data and all of the pieces behind that, as well as the security aspects, the different security levels. So there are a lot of standards that are involved in all of this. These are open standards. They are all available, either free or for a low charge for printed versions or PDF versions rather. And in addition to that, there are no restrictions, no royalties, no additional costs or registrations necessary for implementing Green Button. So this is one of those things that we continue to build upon. We help not only enhance the core of the standard, but we also provide feedback to the other standards that you see on this list as we grow and advance the Green Button standards. So wanted to share all of that with you folks that are unfamiliar with what goes behind the scenes in some of what we do. We have so many different pieces and parts to it. You can see today we're doing quite a bit of standardization on energy, electricity, natural gas, a lot of interest in water. So we are focusing on water in 2025 to bring out some of the benefits to more than just the niche areas that currently look at water as a data form. In version 3.3 of the core of the standard of the NAESB SB, we added retail customer information. And in version 4, we've added the ability for bill images to be downloaded using the ConnectMy data APIs. So this is really a nice addition. We say PDF here. It could be any format of bill image, but typically PDF is where folks are looking to achieve that piece. And then updated security comes along in the 4.0 as well. So folks are really welcome to try to move up to that 4.0. It was published and in December of last year. So it's a full year under its belt. Feel free to jump in and get involved in that. And one of the things that we're really working on, as I mentioned, although we've got electricity and gas and water today, we are intending to add additional things as well. The standard has been designed to be flexible enough to carry such things as carbon data, hydrogen information, and other resources. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on when we talk about some of the things we plan to do going forward in 2025. So let's take a look first off at some of the Green Button Alliance services that we are offering to folks, because I think this is an important piece in order to understand what's available and what's out there for you. First, I want to point out some of the things that we're doing. We have some technical services that we make available to folks to assist utilities in bringing certifiable solutions to market. Also get those implementations functioning based on some of the requirements in their geographies and the jurisdictions that have provided mandates and so forth. Once you've purchased a certification package, you can also choose to have some pre-certification, which is something that we launched last year to help folks get ready for certification to make it a little more cost effective, so that you go into certification knowing that there's a high probability of coming out of it with an actual certificate. And then we can also help you out with bringing up non-compliant implementations into meeting the standard as well. So that's some of the things we do. And of course, our goal overall is to help you get a certified solution for your utility, because that allows you to bring in third parties without the third parties having to customize to your particular idiosyncrasies, if you will, for your utility platform. If it's certified, it's a much easier task for third parties to onboard with you and begin to provide some of those services for your customers. So looking at what we offer on the technical side, we've got a couple different certification testing combos. We have one that involves both Connect My Data as well as Download My Data. And we have one that's just for Connect My Data, one that's just for Download My Data, and then again, the pre-certification testing that we provide for both utilities and platform vendors to those utilities. We also offer that technical time, not only in pre-certification, but also as any other type of implementation you need. And that's just not just for utilities and those folks, but also for third parties who are interested in understanding a little bit more about how to interact and interface to those utilities. And lastly, we offer a tailored advisory informational guidance. So this is a program that is essentially tailored toward your needs. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. So first, I want to mention, again, the pre-certification testing. You can only do this if you're a vendor who is providing platforms to utilities, or if you're a utility that is about to go through certification. So this is something that is specifically tailored to and replicate the certification testing so that you're ready to go. The advisory services are involved in two different things. One is this education or training time that I spoke about. You can have this for all kinds of different information. You get one-on-one time with our technical manager. You get to have it recorded and be able to review it with your team later on. So we really want to emphasize the importance of this, because folks that get this information and get this assistance are far more successful than those who try to wing it on their own. This is also something that we provide some of this technical time to members as part of their membership benefit, depending on which level you've joined us at. But it's also available to non-members to purchase on an hourly basis. So no forcing you into membership, but as you know, that is what drives us forward, is our membership. And then lastly, the advisory services that refer to informational services and guidance. This is specialized. This can be for anyone, including those who don't make products, who aren't third parties, who aren't utilities, but are maybe jurisdictions or looking to make mandates, and trying to understand what should go into those things. So it's a very tailored service. It could be marketing related. It could just be understanding the industry a little bit more from ins and outs. So this is very customized, and we've had some great success with this program as well. And then, of course, there are free services that we make available as well. We want to make sure that the majority of our developer services are for free. And so as you'll see here, we've got some frequently asked questions sections, both one that's informational, a little bit more about what is Green Button, what are the differences between this and that, as well as technical, where we go into a little bit more depth about some of those standards we talked about before. We also have some blogs where we tackle some problems that folks have and try to bring a little light to those so that everyone knows what's going on. And you can also see what's happening in those blogs, what's new, what's the latest and greatest of news. We also have developer resources that we make available in a couple different ways. We have a GitHub repository that is open for folks to be able to look at code examples and other things. We have what we call elucidation pages, or that's what I like to call them. They are basically technical resources that take a particular topic and try to explain it in more depth. For example, you may have local time parameters and understanding time zones as well as daylight savings. We try to explain some of those things. You may have curiosities about the scaling of values. So we try to explain some of those things. All of that's available for free in our developer section of the website. You don't have to log in, just go right there and check it out. And then, of course, a list of the other standards and how you can get to those. We have pinpointed some of those links so you can find those open standards. And then lastly, you can join the OpenAD task force for their meetings. And I say join, just show up on a Tuesday when we're having those meetings. We have them about every 4 weeks. And you can learn about what's coming up next. You can offer suggestions about what needs to go into the next version of the standard. This is sort of the triage section of things that go into the NASB SB task force that handles the actual standardization of that core, as well as the things that go into the other standards that were mentioned before from W3C and from the IETF and others. So we feed all that information back, but you have one place you can go to get involved in that. You do not need to be a member to be involved in that OpenAD task force. We invite everyone to get involved. So check that out on our website and feel free to join us on any one of those. Now our biggie is this piece that we've just launched this year, and we'll go through some of the details of what we've done with that in terms of accomplishments as we get along. But our biggie here is our new Green Button directory that we are really excited about and proud to be able to announce to you. We opened it up to GBA members in May with a promise that we would get it out to you before September, and which we did, one day before September. And so it is now available publicly without login to take a look at it. You can utilize it to have, for example, let's say you're a utility and you want to find third parties. You can find third parties in there that you want to get onboarded into your system. If you're a third party, you can find the utilities. So there's another mix in that. If you're a utility that is thinking about Green Button but have yet to implement it, you can find platform vendors who can provide you solutions that are ready to go right from the get-go. And it also, of course, lets utility customers find direct links to their utility to know where those portals are, but also to be able to find third-party apps that may be of interest to them. So that's how this combination works. We intend to expand this as time goes on into a broader set of directory services that will go into a much more depth on other types of things, all interfacing, all integrating together. We'll talk about more of that as we get into 25 and what that's beginning to look like. So we have about 61 utilities in there today. That changes on a daily basis. And this includes both certified and non-certified implementations. Download my data, connect my data. There's a lot more that need to go into this, but this is what we have in there today. Likewise with the third parties, you saw on a previous page, we've got some utilities that have 100 plus onboarded third parties. We need to get all the other third parties into that listing as well. There is no cost to be listed in here as a utility, as a third-party provider, or as a vendor to the utilities. All the instructions are given on there, but you can always reach out to us at our contact page, and we'll be happy to help you out in getting involved and getting into that listing. If you're already in our database, which many of you are because you had signed up at one point in the past for our 23 AGM, or maybe even for this one, so now you'll be able to create your account and set up your listing in that directory. And then, of course, plenty of utility platform providers, some that provide the actual data custodian role of providing these data, but also some that are in support of that to help the systems get interfaced to their backends. So lots of folks in there that can really help you out if you're interested in going that Green Button route, which I would think you are since you were all here. And so last year we did a poll just to see a little bit about who would help us out with some of the directory services. And as you can see from this listing, a lot of the folks last year at our 23 AGM were willing to provide a lot of feedback on the content. And so that feedback that we gathered from the May timeframe until the start of September was utilized to improve the directories. And we also have some additional things that are going to be going into the directories probably within a few weeks, and to give it even more options, more filtering, and more abilities to find the information that you're looking for. So we thank everyone who participated in helping us fine tune that directory to get it ready to make it available to the public. Okay, I've talked about the directory. Let me show you a little bit about the directory so that you can see what it does. Let's just first start off. I'll walk you through a little bit here with let's go with the utilities and data custodians. These are all kinds of different folks. We're talking about not just the IOUs, but also munis and co-ops and community choice aggregators and so forth. So just using Enbridge as an example here, you can see a listing and we list these all randomly, but based on their membership tiers to give a little bit more of a presence for those folks who are GBA members. But again, members and non-members can be listed in this directory. So let's just take a look here. We'll click here on View Profile for Enbridge, and you can get a look at just exactly what's in one of these listings. Contact information, social media information, buttons that'll take you to the website, buttons that'll take you directly to the DMD portal or landing pages, a listing of third parties if the utility provides that, and a third-party registration link as well for third parties who want to register with an organization. Obviously, a company description, whether they're a member or not, and their level with us. And then, of course, lots of information about their certified implementations if we have it, and if they're not certified, we don't have that information, but nonetheless, they'll be listed in here as well. So this is really exciting. I want to also show you now what it looks like from a third-party standpoint. So here again, a randomized list, but based on their order, based on their levels within our organization, and then non-members after that. This list will show you an example by clicking on Logical Buildings. So when you click on Logical Buildings, you have a similar interface to that which you saw with the utilities, but in this case, a little blurb about the app features. It's a real short line. They have to figure out exactly what they want to say, sort of an elevator pitch for what their app does or what their service does for folks, in addition to their organization overview. We have different buttons here, listing of utilities to which they may be onboarded, as well as green button data solutions landing page. And if they have apps in one of the major app stores, Apple or Google, they are able to click to go directly to that app within the app stores. So these are some of the things that we make available. And again, you can fill out this directory listing yourself and be a part of it, because that's what we've tried to do. We try to make it valuable to the industry. All right, I'm going to hand over the microphone to Syed, our chairman, again, so that he can give you a little bit of a year-in view of what we've been doing, and let you take a break from listening to me.
All right, thanks, Jeremy. We look at a year in review, and if we go to the next slide, really just to go back to our vision, as being this go-to place for green button services and for certification, from marketing to education is part of our mission, is really also focusing on enhancing the NASB standard and compliance and global adoption. And on the right, you'll see a little bit of where we were trying to do, which is to enhance our standards and look at tests. And so if we look at that, if you want to click the next slide there. And that's really where we're looking at security enhancements. And again, we talked about the Bill Image PDF feature that we want to be look at. Next is if we look at test certification, and as I mentioned, I guess 143 DMD and CMD certifications that have been done, which is something good. And now we're going to be looking at continuing that piece. And the education part, we're obviously participating in working groups and looking at commissions and what we need to do to provide that expertise. And again, this is really to more or less expand the scope of awareness of green button. And on top of that, wrapped around all of this is the directory service, which we feel will help us connect, third parties to customers and customers to utilities to give consent to access information. So we're hoping that this will be the type of thing that will be will help move us forward to the next level as well as we step forward to embark on 2025. We did a survey last time as well. Rather than repeating, we thought we might share the result of that one. And we looked at how do we think what we should prioritize as an alliance. And on the left there, bottom left, defined solutions evolving, especially with what's happening with AI in general and Gen AI and sharing data. It's a good model to look at. How do we, everybody's worried about guardrails and privacy, and everybody's worried about information. How do you, the way I look at it, sometimes you may end up restricting AI just to your space on your cloud or private cloud, and you may not go anywhere. But with Green Button Alliance, that may mean, hey, you know, why can't I share with other utilities and other things that we wanted to collaborate on? So this is sort of a mechanism to extend AI beyond borders as well, or utilities that we're looking at. So I think that was where we want to look at involved, where we see it going forward. The middle was really, that was an issue and a problem. How do we make it easier to onboard third-party apps? And that's from start to finish to say, hey, you know, which utilities are certified that I can go and register on? And is it, and then we hope through directory services, that's going to help, that they will know that this should be a click of the button, so to speak, on getting in and running, and multiple utilities potentially in the future as well, that we can enable that to happen very easily. Then the last is really how do we improve sharing data and at multiple utilities and ease of looking at this type of thing. And again, this goes back to a little bit more about even how do we enable aggregated data? How do we let research organizations, universities and colleges, if they want certain data, how do we give that data to them, or ministries when they want to look at policies and so forth? And as we talk about particular EV charging and other things that fall under that gap, I think we're very much in a good position to get into those spaces to help ease and access to share data across North America in particular right now. We had this sort of checklist, I guess, that we look at as scoreboard and how we're doing. And again, membership last year, we had as a very high uptake because we were in that middle of getting Ontario certified and move forward. And now we've seen that wave stop. We see it as lateral, but we'd be looking to see if we can increase our membership and increase our uptake on sponsors as a result of that, as well as other initiatives coming forward. The standard, I guess, influencers that we're doing ideas, working very closely with NAISB. And again, Jeremy talked about a few of those things that we're talking about enhancing it for other carbon and other things, as we mentioned. Adoption has been down. We didn't get the uptake right now with Korea in particular, that we've had translation of that, but that may come back again at some point. But for us right now, we're focusing more on as a group to really look at North America at this time. Certifications, as I said, we've got a fair number now with 143, which is certifications underway, and we expect that to increase. And again, through directory services, the go-to place, we feel that we've done up more tools and things that we want to be able to help even third parties get going faster. And implementations, we're going to continue to look at what we can do to help in general, any areas to move forward with that as well. So on a whole, I guess there's a fair number of ups and downs, but it's been, I think, still a good year in that we've done. This is just a quick one, just to show different areas, you know, utilities to munis to solution providers, system integrators, property managers, government agency, would be the value prop. In particularly, you'll see some areas like becoming awareness of policy and regulation and activities is across the board. I mean, that's something that would be useful for everybody across there. Even development, integration, cost, and implementing solutions, we will be helping everybody across the board in helping that happen. And then we're also talking about things like different business opportunities that would be looking at things as we go forward, and solutions that span utilities and so forth. I just saw something pop up about digital twin. Yes, I think that's a very good idea. I know there's a lot of work happening with buildings. I even know there's some work going on with residential places as well, that what would a digital twin look like, to say, hey, if I want a hybrid heat pump, what would it mean to me as far as my, not just the electricity uptake, but what would be my 30% carbon reduction with that hybrid prefab, tracking those type of things. And then you're right, digital twins would be a great feature to be able to take that and present that data in that way, as a holistic view from a property manager to a residential customer. looking at as we go through, maximizing, the AMI investments and where we do. And then again, we'll talk about where that's happening in utility-wide standards. And again, privacy will be another key area for us, is making sure that that's the piece as we talk about as we move forward, and how do we maintain that and moving it forward, and to be able to scale environments and help adoption with particularly with DERs as we see clean energy things that are going on that we'll be looking at. And again, there'll be a lot of challenges, I guess, on rightly so if EV adoption slows down and things like that, which is what we're seeing. I think from our point of view, we still feel that data sharing should always keep going as a momentum to be there when it's ready. So it's sort of being proactive and being sure that we have this sort of capability in place, even though sometimes some timelines may change. Some of the principles are important for us, that we need to have this open standard approach to things as well. So again, in review, I guess the launch is there officially for our Green Button Directory Services. There's going to develop resources pages that are going to be help hopefully with developers to create third-party apps and know what that means and get educated, and also education pieces. We are looking at planning and enhancing our vision and mission. So this will be something that we'll be doing as part of the board, and then we'll be soliciting things and views from all members on where we want to go to look at things and how we want to focus in our attention on as we go forward. Different viewpoints. We've already had a few board discussions on this, and then we'll now continue to look at that as we go forward. The other part is, how do we grow our organizations, not just through memberships? Is there certain liaisons and groups that we want to look at and connect with? We want to kind of look at that to achieve our long-term goals as we go forward.
Thank you. So this is just a quick update. As you already know, we have 143 certified implementations, more coming all the time. Hopefully we'll get a few more this week even, and next week maybe perhaps. But we're constantly looking at bringing in more certifications and helping folks through that process. You can see here that we are able to do some testing for all types of utilities, munis, co-ops, and what have you. We're also doing or planning to do statewide systems and multi-state systems, and of course certifying the platform providers so that they can prove to their potential utility customers that they know what they're doing. And so that is those are the groups that we're certifying today. Coming up next, we have a whole new plan for third parties so that we can test their implementations in a very fast, efficient, and cost-effective way to make it help them with the process of making sure they'll be able to onboard at the various utilities. This is the concept of certification is not just for itself. The concept of it is really about trying to reach a level of interoperability, helping people speed time to market for utility access and sharing, really looking at providing a diverse realm of third-party options and services to utility customers, so that utilities don't have to handhold their customers. They don't have to handhold the third parties. The third parties don't have to customize to integrate with utilities. It all stems around testing and certification. So that's why we emphasize it so greatly. It is what will make a platform successful. And so we're here to help you do that. We also want to look at a little bit of some of the use cases here that we've put forth and ask you some of your thoughts about use cases as well. First, I want to just point out a few different places that we're playing, and hopefully you are also involved in these areas, being able to obviously provide these energy data and while maintaining all of the customer security and privacy that's involved around that is very important. And so all the things that we do have to be with those things in mind. The customer is first, the customer maintains full control, and there is an ecosystem to support the things that they want to do. You can see here that we are looking at a number of different pieces about supporting those different hubs that are being built. We're also looking at meeting clean energy goals by allowing people to do more benchmarking and more reporting. And then also looking at ways to support the grid that exists with existing technologies that are out there by simply adding in the ability to understand usage patterns and historical trending based on all of that. So those are the kinds of things we're looking at. Here are just some of a handful of different things that we know people are using the green button data for today, supporting dynamic load shifting, building benchmarking, of course, as we talked about, and reporting where it's necessary. We're looking at, of course, support of carbon accounting and other pieces of environmental stewardship. We're also looking at taking the distributed energy resources and helping increase that adoption by using the data for those things. Here are just a few examples that we whipped together in a couple minutes, a few use cases that we're familiar with. We've got Con Edison, Sustainable Westchester. They've got Logical Buildings, Grid Rewards program there. In California and Texas, Renew Home is involved in the demand response and virtual power plants section there. There's some overlap between those two companies as well in the areas they cover. We've got Silicon Valley Clean Energy with their data hive and EV charging information. Fort Collins building benchmarking and reporting, and there's integration with their platform with portfolio managers. So that's a nice plus there. We've got a whole bunch of things in progress with electric heat pumps and support of different clean energy initiatives. There are many others. This is just an example of a few that we tossed into here. We want to hear from you on some of the things that you think are important as well. Here are a couple of them that look at these for just a moment as I pull up that poll for you. Just looking at the chat while we're doing this, there was a question about whether there's any work on AI component of GB standards for apps and platforms. Yes, staff has been looking into AI applications involving Green Button that are both out there already, as well as things that we can utilize as staff to assist folks with that. If you're interested in learning more about that, drop us a line, let us know that you want to be involved in that. So I'd say the lion's share are folks that are looking at doing electrification analysis, cost benefit of maybe switching from natural gas to all electric. There are some folks looking at, of course, sizing solar arrays and whether storage makes sense for that for homes and businesses. We've got folks trying to satisfy building energy reporting mandates. This is a big one. We know that there are quite a few local laws that have been put into place, as well as province-wide, statewide, and so forth. Saving money, shaving peak. Okay, thanks so much for taking time to do that poll with us. That's really valuable to us. All right, now let's take a look at what's going on moving forward. And in that process, I wanted to let you know what some of those mandates look like out there, what's happening in the data access initiative. So that's our first step into looking at where we are going next year, is to look at where we are today in that process. There are several different things here, and you can always find the information by going to our website, hovering over the initiatives section of our main navigational page, and then finding the information that's of interest to you, whether it's the US or Canada or Korea or initiatives kicking off in Europe, or a blog of information that we have on Policy Watch. So things that you might be important to bring to your attention. So you can always find that information here, but here's a good look at some of the things that are really quite important right now and that are underway. The most ambitious project that is going on right now in the US is an energy data resource platform that is for the entire state of New York. This is not only for New York City, as most people think of New York who don't live there, but for the entire state. So this is really important. It's a centralized statewide platform. It's going to provide energy data from a variety of different sources. Different utilities are going to feed into this to support New York's clean energy goals. Phase one was completed in March. of this year and includes three primary tools: an assessment tool for electric infrastructure, and then this is for DERs and hosting capacity and so forth. The second is a rate plan browser. And then the third is a Green Button Connect tool to help energy service companies request the information and get all the things that they need. There is more happening, of course, in this process. Phase 2 is now underway. This is going to be involving a lot of different pieces and parts. All the IOUs in New York, 3 utilities so far as a part of the process, are already Green Button Connect certified. So that's really exciting. And then Green Button Connect being a key use case of that phase 2 is very important. There's currently a sandbox set up for folks to begin to get ready for what's going to be publicly available in 2025. All the residential customers will be a part of this and be able to get third parties to interact with them. So that's coming. So if you're a third party, by all means, look at the sandbox, start registering now to start getting onboarded into this. And in phase 2, they're anticipating probably another 40 some odd use cases by mid 26 to be coming along. And there's so many things: EV charging, siting for load growth planning, building benchmarking, of course, electrification, system reliability will be a piece of that, and so much more. So that's really what's going on in New York. There's just too many things for us to cover, but you can find some of those things here. Feel free to take a screenshot if you want, and hopefully your tools will allow you to hit these. But even better, you can go to our initiatives section of our website, and you'll be able to get to all these different pages and links that you might want to go to. And then, of course, they have a YouTube channel at NYSERDA to show you the progress of what's going on. So this is very fun. There are a lot of different data access initiatives going on. This is just an example here of another one that's happening similar to what's going on in New York, but this is one that's about to kick off that will handle New Hampshire, Connecticut, Maine, and Massachusetts. So this will be a multi-state platform and has yet to be rolled out into anything tangible, but it is on the way, and they're very excited to be involved in this. So you'll see that some of them are waiting to see if they get funding through the U.S. Department of Energy's GRIP funding program, which calls out Green Button as part of how you can get that funding. So this is pretty exciting. And then you can look at some of the other things that are going on. North Carolina's got a lot of things happening right now. They're doing a close collaboration with the Public Utility Commission staff and stakeholders in North Carolina, and have decided to move forward. Duke Energy, Dominion Energy, they've agreed to provide data sharing functionality that conforms to the standard. So there's a lot going on in there. There is a new rule allowing large users from building controls companies to the city of Charlotte and Durham. So lots of different things for large buildings with multiple tenants, even airports, for example. So access to the data is essential for some of these munis applying for grants and pursuing energy efficiency. So this is really important to get this out. So once approved, they'll have to pull it together in about 30 days. So we'll see how all that goes out, and we'll be monitoring that in our initiative section as well. When we look to New Jersey, you can see that they are moving quickly. New Jersey is implementing automated meters across the state and looking at providing what they say is fair data access and sharing. So they're right along the edge of being ready to kick things out and get things out into the Green Button world. When you look up a little bit further on the coast, you see Rhode Island involved here. They have also approved automated metering infrastructure on the condition that the utility provides Green Button CMD plans. So this is really important as well. And hopefully we'll get all of that done by at some point in 2026. So that's a little bit looking out further than the 25, but those are the actions that are happening in that case. Connecticut, as I mentioned, are interested in being a part of that four-state regional energy data hub with New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Maine. They are looking for funding as well. They have issued a decision in January of this year, excuse me, so of 24. So they'll be moving forward with those things. And then again, Massachusetts, a part of that four-state plan as well. The Department of Public Utilities is looking to the next steps involved in that process. So again, look to our site and you can find all the details of what's happening down in the States, but also we have a section on Canada as well, so you can look to there. For those who are unaware, Ontario had put forth a mandate to have all of the natural gas and electric utilities in Ontario provide both the download my data and connect my data methods of Green Button to all of their customers within a 2-year window of opportunity. And they had to do this by the 1st of November of last year, and they were extremely successful, putting over 5 million customers from electricity, over almost 4 million customers of gas able to get their tools. So now, of course, the things that are happening up there are primarily third-party integrations. So this is really where we're focusing on trying to help those utilities, those currently 56 different utilities up there, trying to help them get those third parties to come and provide those services. We're working with those utilities constantly still today to help refine, work out any bugs they may have, and really push things forth. Nova Scotia is also getting into the fold here as well. So currently the DMD is available, CMD underway, and we're really looking forward to having yet another province all fully able to provide to their customers. All right, handing back to our resident Canadian, Syed, so he can talk a little bit more about the outlook for 2025.
Thank you. Yeah, again, just looking ahead, 4 areas that we really want to look at, and again, part of it is just on the top left, and a little bit more on the is around buildings, performance, and others. And I think our focus is with Enercan and the Ministry of in Ontario to try and push Energy Star Portfolio Manager as being the thing that could leverage Green Button. So we're hoping next year we could start looking at that and trying to make some headway with that piece. I think that would help a lot for reporting requirements that we need to do as well for energy and water reports. So looking at performance intelligence reporting, that's going to be on top property managers. It's a lot of things that are there and multiple sites and that span utilities and that you can get that. And we talked about small commercial operations such as even a food chain that maybe spans Nova Scotia and Ontario, for example. Those are things that we can look at to see how they have operations and what's it mean to when there's a retrofit or as a change, what do we see the value of that translating. So we want to focus a little bit more on the fact that how does it become an outcome. So we have energy data, we got third parties, we want to work together and say, how's it work out to be a business output? And the bottom left is clear example is the fact that around heat pumps, and in particular in our region, we rolled out several heat pumps, and now we were able to show their carbon footprint reduction, and then also the fact that their electricity went up, so they knew that what that was. And so there's going to be opportunities for that. And again, we're going to get more prosumers as well with more DERs and power plants that are coming through. The other part is around EVs. This is a common thing that we're looking at. As I said, we need to really look at how do we identify the load based on their energy usage. And in Ontario, we have what we call ultra low rate, so we can look at that data and say, hey, these people customers are there, they could take advantage of that rate. So it's turning it into not just collecting data, just to be proactive, to actually trigger events, to help customers reduce their charging fees or to be able to shift or pick the right plan. So how do we, I think as a group, take it away from just sharing the data to connecting things to get the outcome. So I think that's basically what we're everybody's been looking for. And I think a lot of that, well, we got the pieces in place, then we need to do that to make it happen, because I think the imaging is great. I mean, the PDF of the bill, that's great. That if I have access to my mother-in-law's utility bill that's in a different part of town, then I can more or less get that as well. Then that's one thing I can take care of as a delegate, looking at their bill and see whatever. So there's more value than just the energy piece. It's the delegation piece to be able to help caregivers. That's going to be a big area for us as we look at and what's going on. And I've always felt down the road as well will be areas on, carbon, and how do you, or even to a point where how do we look at all somebody comment about net metering, what is all behind net metering that we can actually, the small added up to 1 meg so it can be dispatched. How do we look at what is the carbon footprint associated with that we're not really capturing and getting those credits on board. So we still have to think in terms of what it means to the customer. Like, how do we, the more grounded we are to the customer, and that's what a whole principle of Green Button Alliance is, the fact that customer consent. So the more we educate the customer and appreciate what's going on as we go forward, and that particularly includes commercial industrial customers too. I mean, that, as we've seen in the past, 85% of the benefit of Green Button rollout is for the C&I space, is the property managers, and then residentials are something that when you get a full mass, you get more scale in that space. The next is the outage reliability information. I guess, what does that acronym stand for again? Outage
Outage Data Initiative Nationwide.
Nationwide. All right.
USDOE.
I learn something every day. And then demand response and what's going on. And the outage one is really kind of interesting for us because, as I said, I've got kids that are in Florida and in all their hurricane season. Where's the outage? What's happening? If we can share that a little bit better, rather than worry about, not what is, where it is, and being individual, knowing people and connecting that data and then making it accessible for what's happening and what is truly information is outage and reliability. And in this, again, I know it's a bigger scope on that, but there's different outcomes of some of these major initiatives that help us look at where we need to do. And then we have to look at liaisons, groups, OpenADR. You talked about, we'll talk about a schedule as well on that, and we look at. Next is the, just to end a little bit just on where I'm thinking that we've talked about. Right now, we're as a utility view here. There'll obviously be another view for third parties and others, but from us, we're more or less moving from data custodian to more stewardship. To me, AMI 2.0 is a very good opportunity. How do we get disaggregation better at the meter, and it becomes more powerful, it becomes more the hub, or what's happening? How do we get more real data on what's happening? And then obviously AI will play a big role in what's going on. And I think there's a lot of things that need to happen, which I think for us as well is moving to the cloud is going to be key, right? If you're going to do it, you got to be in the cloud. You also, for AI, you have to be API. You need real-time integration, so the data has to be really current. And to me, then you're into developing what we would need to do as a data strategy. So you're looking at a data strategy, and then to me, Green Button fits right into that mix of how principles that we can extend what we do for to get consent of sharing information and have the proper guardrails in place and what we're looking for it together. And on the right, just some ideas of how do we bring a lot of these data sets together to bring that picture together to try and look at where we want to take the standard. So while we have our scope and what we need to look at, sometimes we have to look at the bigger picture things of what's happening and how do we play a role in that overall piece of the overall strategy for the utility as far as what they're doing with data, and how do we make it more shareable, not just energy data, any type of data that we're talking about that we can follow these principles. So it's sort of a view of what we've been doing, I think, going forward to be just, we'll be looking at obviously next year, we'll talk about our 1-year plan, 3-year plan, but we need to look at what we want to be able to do in certain areas. And a lot of this will be built, will be input from our members. Join us, I guess, from it simply put, if we can sign up for directory services and get the pitch from Jeremy again, if you'd like, on what needs to happen and how do we need your use cases, because we need to make sure that that's there. That's part of the next thing of directory services will be to acknowledge as much successes too. So if we can have that, not only do you there, then you can say, hey, here's a use case of value for what would be why you would want to consider developing an app, or why you would want to be able to, for a utility to move in that space and so forth, and the value. We need to, eventually we get to be a TripAdvisor type of view where you can rate or you can get the concept of, customer testimonials and feedback and say, this is a great thing. So, how do we crowdsource that sort of thing that we want to get to when we get more into that space as well. So please join GBA, and some of the meetings are coming up, as we said, meeting once a month. And as Jeremy mentioned, you can just drop in, just any open, no membership required or anything like that. Then feel free to participate in this group, which is you're going to learn more, and we need your input as well. Next is Distributech. So actually, believe it or not, it'll be our 10th anniversary because we formed Green Button Alliance in 2015. So it'll be a cause for us, a good reason for it to celebrate. I think if you're going to be there in person and would like to speak, or do you think there's a particular topic, we can obviously make it. This is a shorter meeting right now, but we can have a little longer session, and we can have a networking lunch or anything else that makes sense, or dinner. Please let us know, and I hope we can do that a successful story at the Green Button Tech Service, at the Distributech, I should say, that we want to do there. And then these are following other pulse calls and other things that you'll be able to attend as well.
I'd like to address a couple of the items that are in the chat. So hopefully we can hit some of those for you. And we talked about digital twins and AI. Let's look here. Blockchain and contracts for net metering and credit programs or microgrids. This is something that we have looked at in I shouldn't say the recent past, but I'd say about a year or so ago, we were looking at opportunity for blockchain additions and carrying that information, or at least the markers to get to a point where you could point back to a blockchain. It's still something that's on our interest list, but again, if you want to provide deeper insight, come join us at the OpenADE meetings, and we can do that. It's really easy to find it, openade.org, and it'll bounce you right to the right spot on our website. But that's just an easy way to get there. Our more user-friendly apps for residential property owners and third parties than Portfolio Manager. Yeah, Portfolio Manager is something that currently imports some Green Button. There are efforts and hopes underway that it will incorporate a greater bit of Green Button soon. But it is really for commercial entities only. And so there are a couple other different apps available out there for folks who want to take a look at the residential piece of it. But we are also intending to make some simple apps that are available for people just to look inside their own file, see it in a way that's human readable, and understand what they might be sharing with somebody. Many folks get their file and they're told to share it with a third party, but they're a little nervous about what might be in it. And so we want to be able to show you what's in it and give you some basic analytics and even allow you to convert it to spreadsheets and things like this. So that's on the way that we want to make available for folks to simply use. Examples of munis, planners, public works, asset managers. Yeah, there are some of these examples of adaptive asset management and pre-commercial procurement solutions going on. There are companies that are even probably some on this call today who are interested in directly that field and are working towards building apps for doing just that. So that's about all I could say at the moment on that, but that's certainly something that is a great use case for Green Button. Parcel location data. Yeah, this is good information too for conservation business analysis use cases, sub-watershed level. A lot of the information that is carried today is valuable, but certainly not as valuable as if it could carry additional information. We're looking at a lot of those things. As I had mentioned, looking at including source mix. For example, how much of it is solar, how much of it is wind, how much of it is nuclear, how much of it is hydro, etc. Those types of things. We're also looking at ways to provide additional data with the Real Estate Standards Organization and the things that they might need energy data for, and vice versa. So that is something that could take place in the future. That's it for me for this meeting. Syed, I hand the baton to you to close out the
Yeah,
24
and
meeting.
again, thank you very much for your time. I know we wrapped up early, but it's great to give an extra time back to everybody. But I can't emphasize that Green Button Alliance is a nonprofit. It only succeeds based on the staff and the members' contribution. And I can't emphasize it's good to have different diverse views, different players from different segments, and good discussion that we've had. And I'll tell you, at the board, we've had some very good, healthy discussions with all different viewpoints. We'd like to bring that, and we need to continue that. So I want to thank the board members, and I want to thank our members for that, because it's us to look at what we can do together. And I feel very comfortable and looking forward to 2025. That we feel that we're ending the year, and I would want to wish everybody a happy holidays and safe travels, and hope to see you at DistribuTech. Thank you.